The Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Travis Jones. I'm here with Jason Barrett, and today we're talking about optimizing your week/day for success. Basically, time management for dads to get it all in. And I don't want you to tune out when you hear that. But the biggest thing we talk to with dads is how to fit in the stuff that they should be fitting into their day to become the best version of them. Because so many people come to us, it's like, I don't know, one, I don't know what to do, or two, I can't fit things in. And we have to look at structuring their day sometimes within their constraints to fitting it all in. And me and Jace have slightly different schedules and lifestyles, but we're going to talk about the top 7 things that, I believe that we should include inside our life to run as the most optimal performance engine of ourselves, right? So we're just the best version of us as far as mood, health, energy, confidence, and all the rest of it. So we're going to talk about those 7 things today. And then, how I include them into my life, given my constraints, how Jace includes them into his life and his constraints, and basically how you can have them inside your life. And I think if we understand this, and so many times we feel like, oh, I work so much, I don't have time, when really it's, no, we need to stop being busy and start being productive. And today we're going to show you how we have productivity inside our own lives, and then a little light bulb might go off inside your head going, oh, maybe that's how I can get it done. And I think the biggest thing I always preface in the start of every podcast, in my head mentally, but probably not to you, is have a growth mindset and have humility. If you're ever listening to something and you're like, that doesn't work for me, I want you to ask yourself a better quality question. If I had to get that to work for me, how would I do it? So it's like a better quality question always gets a better quality answer. And, so many times we have these limiting beliefs based on our own life saying, I can't change, or I can't fit that in. And all of a sudden, as we've talked about in the past in the Mindset podcast, that will then close your blinkers off in your mind, showing you every way you can't do it. Right. But so automatically you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you have a mindset of, maybe I don't know everything, okay? And that's probably the first thing, because someone else might know more than you, and that's great. And, you're on this podcast, which is fantastic. 2, if I had to fit, 1 or 2 or 3 of these things in my life, well, how would I do that? And you have to have more curiosity around it. And I think that's a big thing when you're trying to take in any form of education, is to have a mindset of curiosity and a growth-based mindset, which means you're constantly trying to grow and learn, and your skill sets aren't limited. And you just have to leave the ego at the door, and, there might be another way. And I think those are the big things I'd like to say at the start of the podcast today. Anyway, how are you, Jace?
I'm good, man. I'm doing well. I've got a little bit of a lower back tweak, which has been going on, and this is for those of you who know my history. I have had a relatively not great lower back for a while, probably since I was about 18, and I was doing a deadlift in Jet's gym where before they allowed free weight barbells in 24-hour gyms, which was a while ago. This is one of the first 24-hour gyms that we could go to, and they had this like weird angular machine with just like handles, and you put plates on and you could just lift it up. No one was supervising that 17-year-old boy who fucked himself up. But since then, my first big weight gain was when I had a lower back injury, and then I kept on eating like I was bulking, even though I wasn't training like I was bulking. So I've decided to not make that mistake again, and I will be officially embarking on probably I'd say a 2-week mini cut deficit to just shred a bit of fat while I'm not able to train at a big intensity. So for all of you guys who are annoyed at me for being on a surplus and, oh yeah, I can just fucking eat whatever I want. Don't worry. I'll be in the trenches with y'all, miserable and calculating my macros and make sure I don't have any snacks just like the rest of you. But a point I wanted to make in terms of what you said, there's 2 things. One, the mindset of curiosity is really valuable when you're learning anything new. And this is something I try to drill into guys when they first start learning tracking, is rather than trying to track to, especially in your first weeks, right? Like when you start tracking stuff, especially food, you're not very good at it. You don't know what's in fucking proteins and fats and carbs. Is this rump steak has 150 grams of fat and 10 grams of protein? No, that's not fucking right? Like it depends on how big the fat cap is. But when you are starting that process, I want you to be curious about what's in food, right? Because then you start tracking things rather than, oh, fuck, I've got to hit my numbers. And if I don't, right, that perfectionism mindset we've talked about. But that attitude of curiosity really helps you then go, oh, I wonder what's in this. I wonder, how this composition, I wonder how this food works. I wonder how this food fits. I wonder what my normal breakfast looks like. And you just start to learn from a place of curiosity, because when you're a kid, you're curious about everything. And that's when you learn the most. When you're at school, when you're in your primary school and you're out with friends, you just want to know what's going on, right? I don't know. I haven't had the phase yet where the kids ask why, but I'm sure there's a phase that, Emmy will go through. It's like, well, why, Dad? But why, Dad? But she's going to be pissed off because I have a lot of really useless information. I'm really good at trivia, whereas like I know a little about a lot. So she's like, well, what? Well, technically it's because of this, this, and this. But in this circumstance, she'll get bored and walk away, which might be a win for me.
Mate, I'll tell you right now, she will never get bored and walk away, and she will keep saying why until you go, oh, this is why.
Just because.
This is why parents drink. No, I'm joking.
This is why I lift. This is exactly. Honey, it was time for me to go to the gym.
Yep, exactly.
Sorry. The other thing I wanted to touch on with that is there's a principle I want you to think about as we go through this sort of time management / optimizing your day, and it's the big rocks and the little rocks. Right, we've talked about this circumstance and this concept time and time again. But if you've got a bucket and you fill that bucket full of sand, right? Sand is basically the pointless, random shit that you do in your life that doesn't actually do anything, doesn't move you forward, is meaningless. You have no room. There's no space in that sand for you to. You can maybe try and stuff one rock in there if you're really fucking strong, but you're not going to fit anything else in that bucket. Whereas, and even if you go in with a bunch of little rocks like pebbles, you couldn't fit a big rock into that bucket. But if you start with the big rocks and then you put in as many big rocks as can fit, and then you've got room. There's gaps between the big rocks because the big rocks don't take up all of your time and all of your life. You can filter in the little rocks, and then in between the little rocks, you can filter in the sand, right? And then you can pour in a beer because there's always time for a beer. You can pour in a protein shake. Exactly. It'll fill in the gaps for you. But that principle is what we're talking about here. You might have different constraints to myself and Trav. You might have different goals, but there is still a structure and still a benefit to these things that we're going to be talking about today, to helping you be the best version of yourself. And even if you haven't right now, you haven't got the capacity, you're not going to go from zero to doing all of them. Let's start by saying, well, what are the big ones that I can focus on? If I do prioritize these, right? And prioritize just doing these. Don't think about like, oh, I've got to cut this out and cut that out and stop doing this. It's like, how about we just focus on prioritizing doing some of these things and then just see how the week goes for you and see how the time actually pans out. Because like, oh, if I just focus on making sure I do this, I still do have time to do some of my other stuff. I still do have time to scroll a bit of reels or fucking do whatever, or, whatever the thing is for you. So come into this with an open mind, with the mindset of curiosity, and consider what can I make some big rocks for me, some big focuses, because you can always fill in the little shit around the big rocks, but you've got to prioritize the big rocks first. Otherwise, they just don't get done.
Mate, I completely agree. And I think productivity, when we're looking at this is really just some time management. Some people have 9-to-5 jobs who are listening to this. Some guys are tradies, some guys are business owners, and everyone has a different level of time management inside their workplace. Some people just don't have time management at all. So obviously there's one concept that I want you to understand, that you have a structure, a lot of you in work, but then it's creating structure at home as well. So it's making sure that our habits aren't, oh yeah, I've got to train in the afternoons and then we eat and I have time with the kids. It's like, it's actually putting time schedules around it, because if you are a dad who wants to be the healthiest version of them and a good dad, like a good father, and be a great husband and try and be healthy and try and, grow your business or be great at work, well, that requires structure, because that to being great at all these things does not happen by like random fate, right? It happens by specific design. And it's like default or design, as Jace always says. You can live life by default or live life by design. And being great at everything and requires a lot of design. Then, you might be thinking, oh, that's very rigid. I was like, well, being a great dad, it requires structure. It means that I'm going to be at my soccer kids' soccer here and here. I'm going to read to them these nights of the week. I'm going to train on these mornings. That means I'm going to do, you're just flowing through the day. And discipline equals freedom, as Jocko Willink, has talked about. And when we look at that, it's the discipline of doing the stuff for your kids gives you the freedom of being a great dad. the discipline of structuring when you're going to meditate or train gives you the freedom of longevity and strength with your body. Giving you the discipline of tracking your food and planning it ahead of time gives you the freedom away from heart disease and health related illnesses, and gives you, a pretty good looking body as well. So it's like, I think this discipline equals a freedom. If you don't want the freedom of those things, then you don't need discipline. But the biggest thing we need is we need discipline. And then to actually cultivate discipline, we need structure, because that means I am or I'm not being disciplined. So structure is the biggest thing. To understand what we need to be disciplined around requires a couple of things, right? So I wrote a few things down today, and we can sort of riff back and forth, me and Jace, about them, and then sort of look at how we fit them into our constraints. But I think there's 7 things. There's 7 things that the healthiest version of you should try and fit into their life. And I haven't put them in like a chronological order or anything like that, guys. I've just written 7 things down that I believe that most people should do to be healthy, be calm, and be the best version of them. And the first one I wrote down was actually meditation. And it's probably because it's the one that I have over the past 10, 15 years has been on and off for me. It's something that I'm constantly trying to dial in to make sure that I'm more on than off, because personally I've found it's such an amazing impact on my life when I meditate consistently. Like when we look at meditation, and for anyone out there, this is not me sitting in the lotus position, sitting in the corner, like that's just not how I meditate. I've paid thousands of dollars to do meditation courses. It's just like I've got given my own mantra. I'm not a mantra man. I just didn't like it. And I listen to guided meditations, and then you might be also thinking, oh, like that's foo-foo. It's like, no, there's a lot of science behind meditation. And then you also might be thinking, like, I don't need meditation in my life. I've tried it before and I found it really hard. Anyone who finds meditation hard and they can't like keep the thoughts out of their mind, that's the exact person that needs meditation. So, if you find it hard to meditate, that means you must do it. So I think when we look at it, it reduces stress. It increases emotional regulation. Now, emotional regulation is your ability to handle the external stimulus going around you. So if you can handle and actually choose better quality emotions on a moment-to-moment and day-to-day basis, I think every dad needs to have that. It gives you more mindful parenting. So you're more patient and you're more focused as a dad, and you're less distracted. So more mindful parenting, it increases your patience just in every aspect of your life. You get better sleep, and there's better cravings control. So you can control your cravings better because you have a better emotional regulation. So every single one of those points, I believe every dad needs. So I think that meditation is probably one of the most up there things that you could do for 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's all I'm asking, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Have you got any thoughts about meditation, Jace?
I think that the big benefit of it, right, is it helps you return to baseline quicker, right? If you have your set point, your emotional set point, if you will, meditation just gives you the space to return to balance quicker, because you've got that balance when you're in that meditative state. And like, again, Travis, it's not about sitting in the lotus position and going home and repeating to yourself, I am worthy, I am a man, I am whatever, right? It's different for everyone when it comes to that. But the real focus of meditation, and the real, I guess, benefit of it, is having nothing going on, having no external distractions, no stuff, and then just allowing your mind to almost like sift through the shit that's going on in your head and allow you just to kind of breathe through it, let it come up and let it go. Like my sister she did a full yoga teacher training in Rishikesh, and then she came back and she was all basically enlightened, right? Because that's what you do. You go to India and you get enlightened. But she called it the monkey mind, right? It's just like, oh, this thing. But it's like, you've got to go through that. If you never meditated before and you reckon, oh, I'm meant to sit there and I'm meant to have a really clear mind. It's like, people dedicate their entire fucking lives to try and have a clear mind with nothing in it. If you think you're going to get it on the first go, and that's the goal of meditation, then it's just a really warped expectation. So don't go into it expecting, oh, it's got to be any particular way. Like for me, I wouldn't say necessarily I sit down and intentionally meditate in the day. Like I have things that are meditative for myself, whether that be just kind of like sometimes I'll lie in my bed for a little bit and close my eyes if it's like if stuff's going on, I need a mental break. Sometimes for me it'll just kind of be sitting with my wife doing nothing, right? Or just at the moment lying down on the mat when my playing with my daughter, not really doing much. That's a very like for that allows space for me. You put your phone away. She luckily sometimes doesn't really want to do anything with me. She just runs around and grabs other shit and does whatever. I make sure she doesn't fall over, and that's about it. But then those kind of things, and a big one for me is actually I put my headphones on and I do the dishes, and I either have like maybe like some music going on in the background, or even just kind of like the little white noise of it, and then I'm doing stuff, but just like stuff is coming up for me, and that's for me, it's a lot easier because I have done, I guess, years and years of mindset work, and I would say I have a very good self awareness of my own emotional state and energy, so I can kind of get there a bit quicker. I would say I would benefit probably from doing a bit more, but I would say that especially for people that don't have great emotional regulation or emotional awareness, then giving yourself the biggest thing is just giving yourself the space in the day to think about and do nothing in particular, because especially in today's society we're always fucking constantly just go 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 go, but just giving yourself the space to just kind of sit for like 5 minutes and just like I remember my brother talking to me about sometimes he would just like when he got home from work he would just sit in the car for like 10 minutes before he went into the house to go see his missus, because he was just like, I just need like space and silence for like 5-10 minutes. And I'll just sit there and I'll enjoy that, and that's it. Right. So don't think it has to be some woo-woo shit. Think of it as just space to allow the stuff to come up, right? Or allow the fat to come to the surface so you can scoop it off and then you're good to go.
100%, mate. And I do like guided meditations because I can listen and I can focus on what the person's saying. And I think giving me that for myself, like that focus of someone saying like clench your fists or relax your body or think about this and breathe. And, it gives me still, I'm focusing and causing me to be present within my body. And I think the biggest thing for me is I know when I consistently meditate because I have more clarity during the days. I'm more creative with work and I'm calmer as a dad, right? So it's like, those are massive like wins for me. So I'm like, well, meditation is a massive thing that I need to have in my life because I want to be those things. Like I want to be more creative, I want to be calmer, and I want to be more focused. So it's something I always try and keep in. The next thing is steps, right? Like, or increasing our NEAT activity. I think this is a big thing that every single one of us need to do, because we weren't built to sit all day. We weren't built to sit in a car that drives us to work, to sit at a seat where we work, to sit in a car that drives us home, and then to sit on a couch to watch TV. And then if we do go to the gym, sit on a machine to press some weights. Like our bodies were not designed to just sit for, essentially sit or lie for 22 hours of the day. I think actually getting up and moving. I was watching something the other day, like our ancestors were walking somewhere between 14,000 to 18,000 steps every single day. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, this is no studies around this. I find out when some of my guys hit, like on average, starting hit 14,000 steps a day, they start losing weight really well. And I don't know what the magical number of 14,000 is, but I've found, if I can get them up and they get them up a little bit further, and all of a sudden they've started working some structures into the day where they can hit that 14,000, all of a sudden they just start losing weight really well. One increases the caloric burn without increasing hunger. So I think that's a great thing. But also, increasing our steps, it increases our alertness, increases our mood, it decreases our stress levels, increases calorie burn. Our appetite regulation is better. So we're not hungry all the time because it blunts hunger going for a walk. And it's also a positive lifestyle change. Like you can go for a walk with your kids and go down to the park. So like, I think if we look at increasing our steps, again, so like these 7 things I was talking about today, I tried to look at, okay, what are the positive impacts around them? I was like, again, there's so many positive impacts around going for a walk and breaking. I'm not saying, oh, now Travis, I have to go for a walk for an hour a day. It's like, no, you need to look at your constraints, and we'll talk about this later on how to fit into your day. But It's looking at your constraints and how you can fit this in. Because 15 minutes of walking will be about 15,000 steps. I've got little legs, but yeah,
1,500.
1,500, not 15,000. Jesus. Uh,
Fucking hell, man. I do 45,000 a day.
yeah, exactly. 15 minutes, about 1,500 steps. So, like, to get the extra 6,000 is about, to get you. So, most office workers walk about 4 to 5,000 steps a day. To get the extra 6,000 to get you up to 10K steps a day is about 60 minutes of walking. It's finding, 6 10-minute breaks, or, 4 15-minute breaks, and it increases our cognitive function, right? Like, if you're sitting down for 90 minutes, you start to have this, like, cognitive decline, which means your focus starts to, waver. Our discipline, our willpower starts to go down, and getting up and going for a walk for 5 or 10 minutes all of a sudden increases our focus again and allows you to get your tasks done faster. So you can either go, oh no, I don't have time to go for a walk, I have to work for the next 5 hours straight. It's like, well, the back 3 hours of that work is probably really shit, right? If you go for a walk for 2 times inside that 5 hours, you're actually going to get more stuff done, because you will have the ability to focus for longer, because you broke it up with some walks, which increase your mood and alertness. And I think that is a big thing that people don't realize with just going for some brief walks, that it actually makes you more productive, even though you're working for less. Because when we look about time productivity, it's not the amount of time you are spending on the task, it's how fast you're actually doing the task. So just because you're spending more time on something doesn't mean it's efficient, right? If you can break it up and make it more efficient doing other ways, that's probably the best way to do it. Jace, what's your thoughts on steps, mate?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting with like the Pomodoro techniques, right? Looking at breaking up your work into small bite-sized chunks and breaking that up with something like steps. Because we've all been there. We're sitting, you feel that usually it's like 1 or 2 o'clock. You feel that glaze kind of go over your eyes, and you're just like, fucking tippy typing away, doing whatever, switching from tab to tab, not actually doing anything, stroking your chin, looking at the computer, thinking that you're doing something. Like we're all guilty of that kind of stuff. But when I talk about the body, it's not a battery, it's a generator, right? And in order for you to get energy, you need to get moving. Emotion is energy in motion. For you to get better quality emotions, you need to be moving. You need to be moving energy through your body. It helps you digest, right? All of that kind of stuff is very valuable when it comes to getting steps in. It's just something that we've lost with, as you said, with society, with being able to sit down and not sort of going for as many walks, not just moving as much, parking as close as we can to everything, making it really super convenient. But yeah, there's infinite benefits to getting your steps in, and it's more than just a meme of, oh, got to get my steps in. It's like, no, I'm like, every time I go for a walk, or every time I take the time, you're going outside generally as well, you're getting fresh air, you're getting vitamin D, there's all those sort of benefits too. So it's I would say it's probably the most valuable form of movement for general well-being. Like, if I had to pick between doing less than 5,000 steps a day and being able to do some fucking weight training versus being able to, walk as much as I like but not weight train, I'd probably pick the steps, because there's just an infinite benefit to that. Like, I mean, look, I might be a skinny boy, but at the end of the day, but there are so many more benefits to that. Yeah, I'll live longer, and I won't be able to bench press much, but I will be able to. Oh, sorry, honey, can't take Amy to the park today. I'm at 4,900 steps. And it's 120 steps away. Fuck, can't do it. But yeah, you can incorporate your mindfulness. You can incorporate your chuck your headphones on, right? Listen to a podcast. Listen to this podcast while you go for a walk. Take your kids out to give your wife a break, or take your wife and kids out for a family outing. Like, I intentionally try to go for walks as much as I can with Lauren and with Emmy, because she'll often sometimes during the day be like, hey, we're going for a quick walk past the park, do you want to come with? It's like, yep, that'll help me break up the day, get a little bit more sunshine, get a little bit more movement, and just more energy, right? You're more energized when you're moving. It's just a fact.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I think the next thing is 7 hours of sleep minimum. I think I am probably like someone who's struggles, right, to get the 7 hours in. But I try my best, right? Like, I sometimes sleep faster, as Arnold would say, and I get 6 hours in. But I try and make sleep a massive priority. Like I wake up at 4 a.m. and I try to get to bed at 9:30. So like sometimes I get like up at 4:30, but most of the time it's 4 a.m. So I have to try and pull it down to 9 p.m. But like if we're looking at this, like 7 hours. And some people are like, oh, I don't need more sleep. I was like, yeah, there's a very small percentage, like less than 1% of the population that needs less than 7 hours sleep. I'm just betting on the fact that I am part of that 1%. But,
that's what I tell myself to go to sleep
to make myself feel better. But when we look at this, like 7 hours of sleep plus, and again, when I say plus, it doesn't mean you start sleeping for 10 hours. Like I believe that somewhere between that sort of 7 to 8.5 hours, depends on the person. But as a dad, like, 7 hours of sleep is probably, you're going to be doing okay, because you've got a lot of constraints and a lot of things to do. So it increases fat loss, it decreases cravings, increases muscle preservation in a calorie deficit. So you're going to hold on to muscle mass as you're losing fat mass. It increases our cognitive performance. So, like we can actually focus, and it's not like we're walking around drunk, even though we're not drinking, and it's just you're tired. It increases our mood and increases our performance in general. So it's like, again, when we look at this, it's like if I'm in a diet and I don't want to be craving all the time. If I'm in a diet, I want increased fat loss. If I'm in a diet, I want to hold onto muscle mass. If I'm in a diet, I also want to have a better mood regulation or emotional regulation. I want all those things. So I need to make sure I'm focusing on my sleep. And I think it's something that people don't focus on at all.
They don't have a plan for it. It's a thing that a lot of people, again, they do by default, not by design. They just lied. Eventually, they get to the point where, oh, I'm feeling tired eventually, so now I'll go to sleep, right? This is where the benefit of sleep time and nighttime routines and stuff, and we've done a full episode of talking about the benefit of having a nighttime and a morning routine. But the routine is there to get you ready for bed at the right time. It's not about expecting yourself just to go to bed whenever you're tired. You will feel infinitely more energized if you have a set sleep time and a set wake up time, and you keep within that consistent band of like, an hour or so in terms of when you wake up, right? Now, yes, there are some times when the kids will wake you up when they choose to wake you up, and that becomes your wake up time, right? So you say, oh, cool, well, they have energy, I have energy, right? Let's steal from them a little bit. But sleep is the issues that can be caused from a lack of sleep down the line, things like Alzheimer's and dementia, can come from not having enough sleep, giving your body not enough time to rest and repair. And this is compounded when you drink as well. So even if it's like one or two a week or a couple of nights a week or whatever, even if you're having one or two before bed, whatever it is, that is still like that increases your need for sleep even more, because you're not recovering properly from all the stimulus that you're giving yourself, whether it's at work, whether it's at the gym. You're not giving yourself enough time and space because your body's got to clear out all the shit from the alcohol that you've had. And it takes time to get rid of that before it can then, all right, cool, I've got to focus on the next task, which is now repairing the muscles from all the damage you did at the gym, right? And get that back to working order. So I can never underestimate and undersell the benefit of good sleep. And focusing in on that. That's probably been one of the biggest changes for me when I've started taking a couple of supplements to help me with that. Some ashwagandha as well as magnesium as well to help me sleep. That's been a big one for me. Eating, I would say, like, make sure you eat like an hour, 90 minutes before bed maximum, right? If not more. Like further away from bed to make sure you're not digesting and fucking getting acid reflux as you're lying there. But the benefit of sleep on the rest of your day, like we've all had days where there's days when you just push through and you're like in a delirious good mood because you've had like fucking 4 hours sleep. You're just like, well, like when your kids are first born, right? You're just like, I'm getting up 3 times a night. This is just life now. I'm fucking delirious, and this is what it's going to be. But over time, chronically, you're not a good person when you've not had a good amount of sleep, right? You're not you when you're tired. So prioritize
you can't out
that.
caffeine a bad sleep pattern.
No, this is a good point. Caffeine doesn't actually give you more energy. Caffeine is an adenosine blocker. It blocks your tired hormones. It blocks the feeling of tiredness. This is like, I still feel tired. It's just kind of behind me now. I can just feel it in the back of my head. It's like, hey, you're fucking tired, but I'm not allowed to feel it now.
But then you have a little bit more caffeine, and then you're just anxious. So you're just like, all right, I've had too much now. Now I just feel sick, nauseous, anxious, and I'm still kind of tired, and I can't sleep because I'm just like sitting in the corner, kind of shaking.
And
Yeah,
now you need to meditate.
literally. So, guys, like I think sleeping is a big thing. We'll go through my routine like in a little bit, but I think like it's making sure you have your nighttime routine in place, and the time that you go to sleep. I think the biggest thing is you have to first look at, okay, what time do I wake up, and just minus 7 hours off that. So if the fact is I want to wake up at 4 a.m., then I'm minus 7 hours, and I want to get up at 9, not go to bed at 9 p.m. and actually get to sleep. So it's what time you go to bed and actually what time you go to sleep. You have to take the time you wake up first. I think that is one of the biggest things we have to understand. It's you don't set your nighttime curfew based on just an arbitrary time. You have to actually work out how many hours am I getting, and then like what time do I wake up, minus the 7 hours off that, and that's what time you need to be asleep. I think that's a big thing. Making sure that we can actually switch off when that happens is going into making sure we have some blue blockers. So blue blocker glasses definitely help stop blue light stimulation coming to our eye, because it will stop the melatonin. When we're looking at our phones all the time, looking at our computer screens, looking at the TV, it's like blue light stimulation, and it blunts melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. And if that's blunted and it doesn't come in, that means we're going to have struggle going to deep sleep and actually even getting to sleep. So we want to look at, okay, well, how can I stop this? If it's the fact that I'm not going to just live by candlelight, I might still watch some TV with my partner, then yeah, okay, get some blue blocker glasses. You might look like look silly when your partner's looking at you, but you're going to sleep better. You're going to get into deeper sleep faster. I think that's a big thing. So you pop those on at, say, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. It's making sure I take magnesium at nighttime about 45, 60 minutes before I go to sleep. Like that's part of my nighttime routine. It's making sure that we have a digital curfew. There's a time that our phone goes away, so we stop getting bombarded by this, dopamine rushes that we get as we get notifications. We don't have stress from work coming into us. So it's having a digital curfew. So it's just making sure that we have a really good routine. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we need to make sure we're doing.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. It's like, again, we talked about it before, default or design. If you have a routine, you design a routine, you stick to it. We've talked about it with structural discipline and reactive discipline as well. If you have a structure of what time you switch off and what time you go to bed, you're way more likely to stick to it. And then you'll get the results of that, which is better quality sleep. You wake up feeling better, all of that good shit. Sleep is like the thing is like, especially with kids, you don't want it. You don't want to go down for a nap, but you're fucking grumpy and you're going to feel better when you wake up. That's you going to bed at nighttime. So stop being a grumpy fuck when you wake up. Have your nap, right? Have your nap like you tell your kids to do. Make sure it's long enough. Get up and then you'll be much better.
Exactly, mate. I think the next thing is step number 4 that we need to include in our day. Weight training, right? I think it's, this is what we're all about, right? Weight training. But the problem is a lot of guys do come to us and it's like, nope, I want to do running. Or I don't know about weight training. I'll just do some body weight stuff.
I don't want to look like Arnold.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I get that one 4 times.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to put on too much muscle mass. It's like, dude, putting on muscle mass is hard. Yeah.
I've been lifting for like 10 years. I still don't look like I lift.
I think it doesn't mean you can't do it for anyone out there who wants to gain lean muscle mass. But when we're looking at focusing on a lean bulk where we're not getting fat as we're putting on weight, we're putting on between 0.5% to 1% of total body weight per month. So that means we're putting on, your 80 kilos. That means we're putting on 800 grams to 1.6 kilos a month. And really it's like the 800 grams to 1 kilo is where we want to be. So that means you're like, 81. Okay, 1 month is we're at 81. 1 month, we're at 82. It's like 4 months, you can put on 4 kilos, right? And not all of that would be lean muscle mass. So I think like no one's going to make you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but what it will do is it will preserve your muscle mass whilst you're losing fat. And then when you're leaner, you're going to look more jacked. Like so many of my guys, they've gone through a phase where they've lost weight and people are like, oh, you look a bit skinny, man. Like, I'm like, trust the process. And then they lose that next 5 kilos and they're like, dude, how much weight did you put on? And you're like, I lost another 5 kilos. Because what happens is as you become smaller, you just look like obviously a smaller version of you. Yeah, duh. But then as you lose the next 5 kilos, and you start looking more vascular, your shoulders come out more, your arms come out more, and your chest comes out more because you're leaner. It's like you got like, it's rather than like our muscle, then fat, then skin. It's like muscle, skin. And you just start looking more jacked, even though you're lighter than before. And people will all of a sudden go, wow, you're looking quite big. Or they don't realize like how much lean muscle mass you have. And if you do go down the beach or something like that, or you're wearing a tank top instead of a shirt, like, holy Jesus, what, like, dude, you've been stung by a bee. And they actually look quite good. So I think muscle preservation, weight training whilst we're in a calorie deficit increases muscle preservation. So we're holding on to lean muscle mass. And for newbie or coming back trainers, you're going to put on lean muscle mass at the same time. If we're looking at maintenance or a surplus, we're going to gain lean muscle mass. It's going to basically increase our metabolic rate over time. So you're going to be able to eat more calories without gaining fat, which is also fantastic. Obviously, we know that it increases our body confidence, right? If we're putting on some lean muscle mass and we're lean, we feel good. We just do. And it's not just about being skinny fat. Like, it's about like being and looking and feeling fantastic. It also helps you set a healthy example for your kids, like weight training does. You want to be the example of them. This is fit and healthy, right? Because there's more than 50% of the society are the example of what is not fit and healthy. So at least have the parents being the example of what is. It's a stress reliever. Like, we got to look at, this relieves my stress, increases, like, again, like cognitive function. But I think the big thing, like when I look at it, like weight training, if you're in a room and a bookcase falls on you, you have the ability to push it off and you're not going to die. I think that's a big thing. You
train that movement pattern.
You don't want to be trapped underneath the bookcase, and then no one sees you for a couple of days. If you're strong enough, you're going to get out of the bookcase. You're going to push it up. You're going to be alive, or you can. Or this is probably not the best one, but you can help your mate lift the fridge when he's moving house. I think that is also another good thing when you're strong. But weight training, guys, you got to do it, and you got to train properly.
Yeah, exactly. It's the couple of ones that I reference when it comes to the importance of weight training is, number one, bone density as well is a big one. Like, and if you lift weights, you are going to have denser bones because your bones will have to withstand a greater force of gravity. Because you're putting barbells on your back, you're putting weights on your arms. It's like it naturally increases your bone density, which means you are less fragile. Right? I don't think any man that's listening to this podcast wants to be labeled as fragile. We want to be anti-fragile. We want to be resilient, right? We want the baseball bat to break when it hits our arms, not the other way around, right? I mean, don't try to get too many street fights with baseball bats and shit, but you never know, right? You never know. So bone density is a big one, but beyond bone density and muscle mass, not only do people with more muscle mass live longer, statistically, from all-cause mortality, which is every cause of death, people who have more muscle mass are positively associated with living longer. So you just will live longer. That's just as much as it is. But there are more realistic, rather than a bookcase falling on you, right? We're all dads. We should have our bookcases, fixed to the wall with the screw and the little bit of fabric. Got to do all that stuff so the kids don't pull it down. But beyond that, there is a high risk when you get older, which is 20, 30 years away for a lot of us. It's coming. You have a fall, and you don't have the strength to get back up off the floor. And that is how a lot of older people die, purely from the fact that they have a fall. Maybe they injure themselves, maybe they don't, but they purely do not have the strength to push themselves up, bring their leg up, get back up off the floor because they have lost that muscle mass. So the more you can do to build it now and keep it now as almost like a preventative measure, that means that when you get into your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, yes, muscle does decrease as you hit sort of past 60. That is a natural process. You'll tend to catabolize a bit more. But if you have a greater reserve of muscle mass, it's going to take longer for that to get down to a point where you cannot lift your own body weight. So if that is so if you think about, that is to me, the idea of being on the floor and not being able to get back up again, that's fucking terrifying. I never want to not have that strength.
I completely agree, mate. The next thing is step number 5, and it's putting time in your day and week for tracking, reflecting, and projecting. Now, when we're looking at this, the tracking, okay, the tracking side of things, you have to have it in your day. What you measure in life, you manage. Okay. If you're not measuring your like as far as what you're going to be eating and you're not having the input, you don't know what the output is. You're going to get fat. You're going to be overweight. You're going to have low energy. You're going to feel like shit. Right. So that's why we track our food. So you have to have, this is when I track. And some people are like, oh, I don't have time. It's like, dude, you sit on the toilet, track when you're on the toilet. Like, that's completely fine. Like, toilet time is now tracking time. It's the TT.
That's productive as fuck. You're doing two jobs at once.
you're tracking what goes in as you watch what goes out. So I think when we're looking at this, but like what happens, Jason, lost him. When we look at this, guys, we have to understand it's like if we're tracking what goes in, then we can go, okay, am I maintaining the calorie deficit? Am I hitting my protein amount that's going to require me to be more satiated and put on lean muscle mass? Like, am I tracking my steps so I know what the mover is? Because these are all lead measures, right? We have a lead measure, which is our steps, which is our weight training, which is our input as far as calories, and also like our protein count. We have these lead measures, and then at the end of the week, there's a lag measure that is centimeters and weight and photos, right? So that we track the lead measures to look at the lag measures. And if the lag measure isn't what we want based on the lead measures, we just simply change the lead measures and that gives us the lag measure we want. That's like basic management of anything. Business, probably your relationship as well. You got lead measures. How many times did you put out the trash, do the dishes, say I love you, make the bed, slap her on the butt? Like you got to track these things, and then you have a lag measure, and we all know what that means. So with this, guys, lead measures, lag measures, we want to track them because they give us where we're on track, and also they decrease anxiety, overwhelm, and frustration. Because if we're tracking these things, if we're not tracking these things actually, and we get to the end of the week, it's, I've not lost weight. It's like, dude, how many calories you eat? Oh, no, I ate healthy. It's like, I have no idea what that fucking means. Right. And literally, I do have, because everyone's healthy is different. Like your healthy could be kosher. Your healthy could be keto. Your healthy could be clean eating. Your healthy could be carnivore. Like, I don't know. But if you're not tracking the calories, your healthy is a calorie surplus, which is why you didn't lose the weight. I think tracking and measuring decreases frustration because all of it is now is data management. Like, right. So we're managing data, and it's like, okay, well, there's a data number. Did I get the result I wanted? Yes. Great. Keep tracking data. Did I not get what I wanted? Change the data. So change the inputs. So it helps us with that. It also helps us when we're reflecting on, so one, it decreases stress, frustration, anxiety by doing the tracking. The reflecting on the daily basis is the big thing, right? This is reflecting. What went well? What went wrong? What am I going to do differently? And like every single day, like you carve out like 5 minutes, just ask these 3 things. And it's like, this is making you a constant, never-ending optimizer, right? So it's like, if I look at what went well today, well, I hit my steps, I hit my training, or I hit my calories, but not my protein. Okay, what went wrong? Right? Okay, I didn't plan my breakfast properly. Okay, what am I going to do differently? I'm going to plan my breakfast tomorrow. So it's like these 3 questions every single day allow you to reflect, and they also allow you to project. And you can do this at the end of every single week as well. So it's like, did I hit my 4 training sessions? Yes or no? What am I going to do differently next week? Did I hit my weekly calories? Yes or no? Did I hit my steps? Did I hit my meditation? So you're reflecting and projecting on a weekly basis. You're doing it on a daily basis. And this gives you a solid, simple plan for goal setting, goal achievement and attainment, plus manipulating the plan to make sure we're getting what we want, which again, it just gives you this sense of certainty, ownership, accountability, and peace with the journey that you're on.
The people who achieve the most are the people who can give themselves and get feedback and implement it the fastest. The more often and the more frequently you can get feedback or give yourself feedback on how things went and what you can do to improve, those are the people that exponentially think about like compounding interest. You can compound once a week, once a month, once a year, or you can compound once a day. If you compound once a day, you're going to get infinitely more returns because you can then iterate on that feedback and on works well. And yes, there's going to hit a point where you're, especially when it comes to like, I guess the fitness side of things, where, like I wouldn't say that I've not hit a day of protein and calories in a long time, right? Without having to sort of think about it, because it's just what I do. It's just who I am at this point. And there's going to come a point where those things become that easy for you. But in order for you to get that good, you need to have plans. You need to take time to reflect on what did go well, what didn't go well. This is what a coach helps you do, by the way. But if you don't have that support, even if you do have that support, it's still worth doing it for yourself, because then you can project. I had a guy I was talking to yesterday, a couple of days ago, a client of mine, and he was already projecting out to a event that he was going to, in like 3.5 weeks time, to be like, hey, we're going to be going out for dinner and we're going to go out to this restaurant. This is what we're going to be having. What can I do to make sure that I'm on track for that? I'm like, first of all, fucking, good job. I appreciate that. I was like, fuck, 3 weeks ago, mate, don't stress about it till the week of. But yeah, he had the plan in place and he had an idea of what to do. And I gave him some strategies to help him do that. But without that projecting, people often just get to the event and then they're like, oh, fuck, what do I do? Oh, what can I order? I haven't looked at the menu. I have no idea what any of these options are or how many calories are in them or what I should do. And they get overwhelmed. So that's the benefit of projecting and just simply looking forward. But the more you can reflect on when times go wrong and when times don't go perfectly, and what you can do to improve on them, what you can do to make the most out of them next time, is you get infinitely better day by day by day, and it becomes an exponential curve. So it's relevant for fitness, but it's also relevant for other areas of life too. What did you do well in your work? What did you do well in your relationship? How did it go today? Why do you think you fought? Oh, we fought probably because I was in a bit of a crabby mood because I didn't sleep well, or I was feeling mentally unbalanced. Oh, maybe I should do what Trav and Jay said, maybe do some meditation and sleep a little bit better. Oh, there's a great fucking idea. If that's what your mental voice sounds like, you punch it in the head.
Sounds like Kermit the Frog. if it's Kermit the Frog. Mate.
Yeah, you got to go. I mean, Kermit the Frog. If you had that as an internal voice, some people may enjoy it. That's all well and good. But having, again, this comes down to back again to giving yourself space and time to focus on you and to giving yourself permission to say, yep, this is for me to optimize myself, to optimize my life, for me to be the best version of myself. I'm going to take fucking 3 to 5 minutes. Is nothing. Again, you can do it on the toilet if you want. If you're done tracking for the day, you can do this one on the final toilet of the day. Just sit there and close your eyes and just think, all right, what did I do well today? What could I have done better? What challenges? Why didn't I hit the goals that I was aiming for? All right, how can I do better next time? And you're not asking these questions because you're beating yourself up.
Oh.
Notice the language around the questions. Like, what did I do well? What could I improve on? Why didn't it go the way I wanted? Why didn't I get what I wanted to do? And how can I do better next time? And that's all it is. It's just about doing better. It's not about doing perfect. Or it's like, why am I such a failure for not doing it? That's not the language that we're using. I mean, fuck, if you're mentally brutal to yourself, right? Maybe David Goggins talks like that. Yeah, you didn't carry the boats today. What the fuck? But you got to give yourself the space to do that stuff, because that is what is going to make you better at doing
Mate,
this.
100%. I think it also allows us to draw a line in the sand every day. So it's like, when we reflect and we project and go, what am I going to change tomorrow? Or what can I implement tomorrow? We understand that, okay, that's my line in the sand. Today is over. Okay, I might have missed something today. We never miss twice. Tomorrow's a new day, because it allows that. It cuts it off, because so often when we're in a bad spiral, we take it into the next day, the next day, and the next day. But reflecting each day allows us to draw a line in the sand. It's like, no, today is done. Like, tomorrow is a new day. I get another 86,400 seconds to just keep moving forward. And I think, drawing the line, but also plan the day. I think that's a big thing as well. It's like, it gives us, when I look at this, and I wanted to briefly touch on this. Like, every single morning, I don't know if we talked about this on one of the podcasts, I look at what my day looks like and the big things I need to fit into my day. I get a lot of my guys to do this as well. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to train. I've got my work things I need to do as well. I know what I'm going to eat and when I'm going to eat and where I'm going to eat. I know, I know it all because it's already planned out, right? But I mentally rehearse it. We did talk about this on the podcast. So I go through a mental rehearsal for about 2 minutes where I walk through my whole plan for the day. My eyes are closed. I can see the obstacles. I can see me overcoming the obstacles. So that's like 2 minutes in the morning where I go through the mental rehearsal. But I don't have to plan out my day in the morning. I do that on the reflection and projection part, which is the night before. So I think all of this allows to set you up for success. And I think at the end of the day, that's all we want, is to set you up for success. Point 6 is planning your food. And, I think, we're going to go point 6 and 7, and we're going to briefly talk about how we fit it in, guys. Point 6 is plan your food. Like, where are you eating? Like, each of your meals throughout the week. What are you eating? Each of your meals outside the week. When do you eat? So what, where, and when, and then prep what you eat. So it doesn't mean you got to prep every food, but maybe you're the prepper of lunches, right? And you prep your lunches, and that's completely fine. Some people don't prep, some people do. But if you're not prepping your lunches and you keep fucking up your lunches, start prepping your lunches, right? Don't do the same thing and you expect a different result. So I think then again, what do I eat for breakfast? I don't know. There's so many options. Okay, pick 2. You'll add two: hot lunch, cold lunch, more time, less time, right? So now you have a decision between two things. I think it's like planning that out, writing it in your tracker or writing on a piece of paper, your lunches. What's my snack? I got one of my boys onto carrots. He loves carrots now. 200 carrots, 200 grams of carrots is 70 calories. He's
carrots legit.
He's one of the boys is like, dude, everyone at work's like, why are you eating so many carrots? He's like, you don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I had that. I was the one who was doing that like a year and a half ago. I had work carrots and I had home carrots. I had a bag of carrots in the work fridge and one at home.
Exactly. And supposedly it makes you see better at nighttime. So that's what I tell my kids anyway. So when we look at this, and then you can either prep some of your dinners, and we've done a whole episode around this, or just prep as far as mentally what you're eating each of the nights. It's like planning is so much better than not planning. And I'm not going to go on about this, and I don't want Jace to go on about this because we talked about this so much. It's like coming to the night with a plan so your partner doesn't say, what do you want to eat? Like, I never want to hear that fucking conversation ever again in my life, right? It's such an annoying conversation where we go, what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? I don't know. And then you're trying to think, oh, what do they want to eat? So I'm going to answer based on what I think they're going to eat because that will make them happy, because it's constantly this battle of trying to make your other partner happy. And when in reality, it's like if you had the conversation once and it was once of the week and you plan your week together, then you never have to have that conversation again. I think that's it's such a good thing to not have that conversation at the end of the day. Because then you're deciding what to eat, and then someone has to go to the shops, and we live like half an hour away from the shops where we live. People are like, where do you live? Far away from the shops. So,
why do you think Trav gets so many runs in? He actually runs to the shops.
So, like, that's number 6. Like, you got to plan, guys, and you got to plan your food. And you're not tracking as you're eating. Like, you plan ahead of time. Because that's the fastest way for frustration, anxiety, and not hitting your data. The last thing is cold showers or cold immersion. And I think this is a big thing that, like, I do, some people don't do. There's pros and cons. I think the con is it's just really fucking cold, right? And then there's
it shrinks you if you know what I mean, and it's not
exactly
pleasant.
I was like, don't do a cold shower naked. Like, it's not the good thing outside of your house. But you know, it depends on what you're into. But like for me, like cold showers, they increase mental resilience, right? Because I've never gone into a cold shower saying I want to have a cold shower, right? But like in the morning, it's like, okay, well, you're doing something that you don't want to do straight away, and you're already overcoming shit. So then everything else is good. We're already winning the day with a cold shower. It's a massive mood enhancement, right? So you have like these endorphins rushing through the body. After every single cold shower, I never feel bad, right? I just never do. So it's like cold shower, I never feel bad. I'm in there for like, I count my breaths when I'm in a cold shower. So I breathe in for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. Every breath is 8 seconds for me. So I'm like, and I breathe out. I know that I'm going to get like 8 to 10 breaths in a minute. So all I do is I count through my fingers as I'm standing there for 2 times through my fingers. Like I breathe every second I move a finger. It's because I can't focus too much as I'm doing it because I'm fucking cold. I focus on not tensing up my body. So as I feel my body tense up, I relax, and I'll tense up a couple of times every shower. And I just forcefully like, no, the mind's in control, not the body. So again, it's making sure it's telling my body my mind is in control, because I think there's a big thing about that. And so it increases my mood, increases my resilience. It increases my immune system. So it's an enhanced immune response. So like have some cold showers. And I don't go jump in and just turn the cold on. I'm not a savage. I'm not, guys, come on. But like I get in there, I wash myself in a warm shower, and then I slowly turn it cold, and I'll sort of breathe through it, and my body acclimatizes, and then I'll go 2 minutes in a cold shower, and I'll get out, and I'll feel like absolutely amazing. And Jace, do you want to share anything about cold showers? You don't do cold showers, so it's okay.
I'm not a particularly a cold shower person. I'm not because like I don't train necessarily in the morning. I don't do morning showers. I'm an evening shower kind of guy. I feel like energizing myself at the end of the night is the opposite. It's the opposite of what I'm looking to do. I don't fit. It's all about fit for purpose, right? But there's benefits to hot and cold
Mm.
therapy, things like saunas and cold showers. So they have very similar benefits in terms of they do help with sort of immune response and longevity and that kind of stuff. Also saunas just kind of feel good, right? After a while, they probably make you feel even worse. Depends how long you sit in them for. But the benefits of cold immersion are definitely there. There's I would say there's a greater like evidence for mental fortitude and mental, just like being able to push through something that's a bit difficult, doing something that's hard for the sake of its hardness, as well as there's the benefits, and also waking up. Like look, I'm pretty bold. I do splash some cold water on my face in the morning. It's watch out. I do go to the bathroom just in my jocks, so it's already pretty cold in the morning. That's pretty tough. But no, there's huge benefits to it, and if you are a morning shower person, then giving yourself, even if it's 30 seconds of just cold water to start with, to get at the end of it, to get that sort of that wake up. Like I remember we used to do that when we used to have a morning routine where we'd go to the gym, play squash in the morning, and then go into work, have just like that 30 seconds to a minute of just cold and just bracing yourself. And as you said, teaching the body that the mind is in control, that you're more powerful than the involuntary responses to it. You breathe through it, you acclimatize, you get out, you'll feel
I think
amazing.
it's like your mind controls the environment, not the environment controls the mind. I think that's a
exactly
big thing.
You can overcome the circumstances.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing. And just to touch on, I know a lot of people don't have saunas, so I don't add this in here, but we're beneficial to have a sauna. I would say minimum 2 30-minute saunas. I think there's a lot of research out, 3 30-minute sauna sessions a week. When we're looking as we get older, there's so many studies coming out around decreasing Parkinson's, decreasing Alzheimer's, like not just the benefits for like right now, but like the long-term benefits of sauna use. It will completely help your body with longevity. So sauna can be like bonus 8. Now, I think we talked about a few things in here, guys. We're going to wrap it up quickly with a brief snapshot of our routines. So you can go, so that's how you do it. Now, again, my day is different to Jace's, but like my AM routine is alarm goes off, I go pee. Right, that's literally that's step one, right? Like my alarm goes off at 4 a.m. every day, right? And that's my time I get up. So 4 a.m. I get up, I go and pee. After I go and pee, I sit down on the couch. I straight away turn on my meditation. My meditation is 15 minutes. Okay, I find it's best to do meditation in the morning because it's when my mind's the most calm. It sets me up for the day. As soon as after I go and pee, what I will try and do is I will try and just go straight in and have a cold shower. So I'm awake, it alerts me, I'm good to go. And from going from my cold shower, I'll come back out. I'll have a greens and a reds drink. I'll just combine that together because I don't eat enough vegetables. So I try and, supplement my way through that. And it's just the truth, like, because I don't eat enough green veg, like I do want that extra support. So I have some greens and I have some reds in some water. I'll have a pinch of sea salt in there as well. I'll then look over my day. So it's like a bit of visualization, plan and project over my day. From that, I'll go straight to the gym. I'll move for about 15 to 20 minutes in the morning, every single morning, because I like the feel of movement. So if I'm not going for a walk, but this is like 4:30 in the morning, guys. So I'm generally not going for a run at 4:30 in the morning because I'm not a psychopath. But I'll go to the gym before I do some coaching and start coaching clients because I'm still doing some coaching face to face, and I do a fair bit of it. So because I love it. Now I am there at like 4:45 by the time it takes me to drive there. Like I'll do like a 20-minute sort of session, whether I'm on the bike or whether I'm doing a little bit of weights or an EMOM or an AMRAP. And I'm pretty much coaching from like 5:30 a.m. till about 10:30 a.m. So it's like a good solid 5 hours of work. So when people go, oh, it's okay for you, like you're a fitness person, you can fit stuff. It's like,
yeah, you live in the gym.
Dude, I wake up at 4 a.m. And then it's like I work from like face to face 5:30 to say 10:30, and then at 10:30 I haven't eaten still, so then I'll sort of get home, and then at that sort of like 11 a.m. to 11:30 I'm like, oh, I'll have something to eat. I've been up for like a fair amount of hours. So I'll have my lunch at that point. and I'm walking obviously inside the gym. That's 3 days of the week for me. The other couple of days I'm there till like 9:30 in the morning or 9 in the morning, and I'll start some of my work day a little bit earlier. But as soon as I start work, when I get back, I've got an alarm that goes off every 60 minutes. I'll go for a 5 to 10 minute walk. And I've got my walking pad next to me, so it keeps my steps up. So if I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, cool. I've got my meditation done. I handle my steps because I go for a 5 to 10 minute walk every hour. Bang, that's done. I got my 6.5 to 7 hours sleep. My weight training always comes in the afternoon, weight training or a run. So then I'll work for the next sort of 4 or 5 hours. I'll either go pick up the kids from school and then I'll go for a run, or I'll go and lift some weights. So it's like you're there as far as that dad, but you're working. So my work day goes from like 5:30 a.m. till about 3:30 p.m. And then I'll pick up the kids. I'll do some weight training. I've had a lunch in there somewhere, and then I get back after training. I'll be with the kids for a little bit, and then I'll go back and coach. I still coach a couple of hours every single night, and then I'll get back. I'll read the kids to sleep. Then I'll put my blue blockers on. We have dinner. I have a digital curfew where I sort of put my phone away. I'll have my magnesium after dinner. And then and I'll reflect then. I'll journal for about 5-10 minutes. But for me, it's like I've fitted cold showers, meditation, visualization. I fit in training. I fit in about 20 minutes of move in the morning because I need that just to wake myself up. I fit in reflection and projection. I fit in all the big things that I wanted to do. And I also still worked probably about 10 to 12 hours a day. And I love what I do. I'm fortunate. I get to spend time with my kids in the afternoon, get to read with them every single night. And I get to fit everything else in. And I think for anyone, because a lot of people say I can't fit in because I work 12 hours a day. It's like you just have to get up earlier or go to bed later. For me, my routine is blue blockers go on. I eat, and then I spend a bit of time with Liv after I do my journaling, and we watch a TV show, and I'm in bed by 8:45. And I'm asleep by 9:15 to 9:30, right? It's just, that's life, right? It's you go to sleep earlier, and that's completely fine. There's no reason why you can't. It's I'm an adult now. I don't have to. It's yeah, well, you're also overweight and feel like shit. So maybe you should go to bed earlier. Jace.
Yeah. For me, I would say the week, to look at my structure of the week, it starts kind of on Sunday, right? We'll do, usually the food shop comes on the weekend, but we do that online. So we do that through Woolworths, and we have a little whiteboard that goes on the side of the fridge where we write down, that's where the shopping list goes. But then we also write down, if there's any meals that we particularly feel like outside of our normal roster, we'll write them down there, and then we'll do a food shop. We'll get all that stuff, and then I basically will catalog what is the closest thing to going out of date, and then we'll try to use that first, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, just so we don't obviously waste food. But that's the way that we decide. That's basically us planning our dinners for the week. Unless shit hits the fan, that's the way that the dinners are planned. So the average morning for me, especially during the week, a lot of people might hate me for this, but working from home and having the little one, my alarm is set for 7. I never get to it. Trust me, I've gotten to it, I think, once or twice, but we also have Emmys on 1 or 2 wake ups in the night, which, and as she's teething, it's also been a bit rough. So I'll wake up, I'll check my, my Aura ring, which tracks my sleep for me to see basically, am I in a good mood today or not? But I always choose for it to be a good mood, even when it says I'm not recovered. See how much sleep I got, go to the bathroom, and then I weigh myself and I check in and I track on the app where I'm weighing myself so I can see my trend. And I just do that. I don't really care what the number is at this point. I just track it, see what the data is, and then by the end of the week, we can round it up and see what happens and see what I need to do. So jump up, weigh myself. We usually have a bit of a cuddle in bed. Me and Lauren and Emmy will just play around. She loves just standing up and using us to stand up and look around, and we'll open the windows, and we'll just have just some really nice, just quality sort of family time in the morning. It's probably one of the best parts of my day is just to be able to sit there and sort of, cuddle with her and just roll her around in bed, and just, it's a lot of fun. And having that little sort of intentional family start, then I'll usually get up, make my breakfast, and then jump into the office somewhere between sort of 7:30 and 8ish to just get started with the day. I'll usually have appointments from, it can vary for me, appointments from sort of 8 on until about 5 is I basically have a full calendar and open calendar, so I can have appointments all throughout that day with enough sort of buffers in between. So that's when I'll take a look at what appointments I've got in my day, and 4 days a week I'll fit in weight training. Usually it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday. But I'll see when can I fit in that sort of hour block of or for like 45 minutes of getting to the gym, getting something done, getting out. Usually I like mid-morning, right? It usually be somewhere between 11 and 12 for me is when I'll go into the gym, do some weight training. I can walk to and from the gym, so I get a few more steps in that way. It's usually about a 15-minute walk in total. So that'll be my movement for the day. Wednesdays, I tend to have a rest day and have it a little bit easier. But that structure for me, it means the gym is less busy. There's less people using all the machines, and I'm able to sort of just get in and out without being bothered. And then I usually come back after I've had, after that, make some lunch. Usually it'll just be leftovers from whatever the night before was. So just chuck that in the microwave, heat it up, and jump in. If not, I'll have some default go-tos like some yogurt and protein, or like I'll just do oats again for lunch because I'm pretty simple and I like my oats. I'd have them 3 times a day if I had to. We have no issue with that. And then I'll jump back into the office, do whatever else needs to do, whether it's producing some amazing content reels that you guys should definitely go subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure you follow along and like all of them. The last one I did, the little meme one, actually did pretty well. Oh, I forgot. Actually, it's a new one that we do as well. In 10 minutes in the morning, somewhere between sort of 8 and 9, me and Lauren will jump out. We'll do a guided yoga stretching routine to get the sort of, especially for my lower back at the moment. So that 10 minutes of us just, today we did it with Imi crawling all over us and crying and whinging and stuff. So it was a little bit of fun. But getting that in is just getting a little bit more present with my body, seeing where are the tweaks, where are the little aches. But that little thing definitely sets me up for the rest of the day. I forgot because that one is a relatively new addition to the routine, but it is something that we're cementing in there. And then basically I'll work through till about 4:30, 5 o'clock, depends on if I have appointments at that time or not. But usually it's just trying to get all the stuff done, whether it's making sure the clients are all good, getting some content out for everybody so more dads can see what it is that we do. And then it might be some onboarding some new guys or trying to produce some new stuff for some new stuff we've got coming up as well. So that'll be the general focus. But I'm pretty much in the office. I've got a ring that it does remind me, hey, do you think it's time to get up? Time to stretch your legs a little bit? All right. And, I might walk, Lauren and Amy might be going for a walk. They might be, going down around the park. We might go for a lap of the block, do something along those lines, either that, or I'll just kind of go up and down the house, see how they're going, see what's going on, just kind of get a little bit of movement in to keep it up. I would say my steps are probably the big one that I've been lacking especially since being on the bulk, because the weather's been shit and my focus has been on cool. I don't like, yes, steps are important, but at the moment I don't need to do the extra energy burn. So it has been less of a focus for me, but it is something that as soon as I get the notification, I try to get up and move around. It's not necessarily going for a walk, but at least getting that mobility in for my lower back and for my body. But as I'm starting to shred, the walk is going to be probably a bit more intentional, probably at least 2 to 3 times in the day, going for at least a lap of the block just to get the back moving and get the body moving. Once I clock off, depending on the day, it'll be bath time, playtime with Imi. Haven't got to see her as much through the day. I still get to see her, she'll pop in every now and again, go to give her a kiss and say goodnight, but she'll come in. I'll give her a bath usually after we eat. We'll usually eat together, probably around 6:30, depending on her bedtime, because it's kind of varied a bit with her naps at the moment. She's still going through that phase of between 3 and 2 naps and, 9 months old. It's not quite a set routine yet, but we'll usually have dinner with her. So I'll be, as soon as I finish work, I'll usually start cooking dinner, get dinner ready. We'll eat together. I'll then usually bath Amy while my wife cleans up the kitchen a bit. Then I'll dry her hair, get her sort of ready for bed. We'll put her to bed somewhere between sort of 6:30 and 7:30, and then I'll usually have my shower after then. Then Lauren and I will go in. We'll usually chat about our days a little bit, see how was your day? How's your day? We just have a bit of intentional time. We usually watch like one episode of a show, and then we'll head to bed probably somewhere between 9:15 and 9:30. And then my goal, like sometimes we've gone to bed earlier, sort of like 8:15, 8:30, just because we've been fucking exhausted with a baby getting up at 4 a.m. and staying awake and for like an hour and a half and stuff. Trav's like, 4 a.m. No, that's when I already get up then. Fucking get started, bro. Hey, we had another wake up earlier as well. So, but this means this is why I know that because of my wake up time, I can go to bed a little bit later and I'm still getting 7.5 to 8 hours, which is really, really good. especially because as I'm bulking, like that sleep is really, and recovery is so important for me to gain the extra muscle mass. Now that I'm moving into a deficit, I could be a little bit more flexy with it, but gaining muscle mass requires a lot of shit to go right. So it's been a big focus to do that. So yeah, we'll head to bed around sort of 9:15, sometimes 9:30 if Lauren needs a little bit more time to decompress from a stressful day with a baby, and then we'll go to bed. We'll read. We'll brush our teeth together. We'll read. We've both been reading the same series at the moment. Usually non-fiction, because non-fiction before bed kind of gets my mind going too much. So we've been reading a series called The Wheel of Time. It's got like 15 books in it. We're up to book like 11 and 13 respectively. Like it's you can see it on the, I don't know if you can see it on the video. Let me check. There's that big that one, that's all of them. So yeah, it's a fucking long series, and it's like, well, we're in for a penny, in for a pound now, so we've got to finish it. I've wasted all this time. So we usually read for about 15-20 minutes. That's my key wind down activity. No matter where I am, no matter what I do, in order for me to wind down into sleep after I've taken my fish oil, my magnesium, my supplements, that kind of stuff, is reading. If I can read for like 15 to 20 minutes, that's going to send me to a place where I'm ready to go to bed, and it's easy and it's good. I could just let it go. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of pillow talk. We'll just have a bit of a chat about, a lot of times it'll just be sort of talking shit. But if there was any sort of, tension or, little tips throughout the day, we'll have a conversation about it. We'll chat about it. We'll, make up, we'll give each other a kiss, and we usually go to bed. So that's pretty much my routine. So it's fairly lucky as far as people go. There's no commute. There's a lot of time with the family, which is really nice. But yeah, there's still things that I prioritize with that. And, in that, there's not a lot of, apart from going to the gym, there's not a hell of a lot of just leisure time for me, which is the thing. It's like, that's the thing that goes. If you want to be a good husband and do the dishes and clean up after doing that, and cooking and, bathing Imi and doing all of those sort of things, it's going to require for me not to do that. We've got the sort of the mindfulness / the stretching in there together when we're doing the yoga. It's just got nice music in the background. You just like kind of breathing through the movements is really, really nice. And then just, usually taking that time to debrief with Lauren at the end of the day. We just talk about our days, and that's usually my way of going through my day and seeing how things went, because, I'll talk about, my day went this, and that is usually my time to be able to reflect, is by getting it out to her, because we both have a history and a background of coaching. It's we know when to just kind of listen to the other person. We just have that nice little back and forth where we can talk about our days, talk about what went well, what did we like, what could the other person have done better as well as a partner, and then just, oh, how's your day? I'm sorry, that sounded really annoying. Yeah, look, I just need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. I like to talk through it. That's how I personally get through it. From like a reflection and a projection standpoint. And, she's like, oh, you're a bit tense today. Yeah, just like, I had this message come through. I just really needed to focus on it, but it's all right. I'll just do this, and it's actually okay. And that's the way that mentally that I do it as well. So that's pretty much the structure of my day. And then the weekends are usually whatever social things Lauren has on for us. Because if it was up to me, my social calendar would be pretty fucking
exactly. Liv knows me well enough that if she books too many things in, I just don't go.
I don't have that luxury yet. I still have to go.
I was like, we've go to a cousin's house, and like she's done it 2 times in a row. I'll be like, they'll be sitting there having some drinks or something. Like it's my cue. I'll just go sit in the corner. I'll lay on the ground. I'll just go to sleep. I'm like, I don't care. I'm in like zero fucks mode. I was like, guys, I don't care. Like this is, I'm happy to talk to an extent, and then when I'm finished talking, I'm just going to go lay down, and someone wake me up when my wife's ready to leave, because I don't care when she wants to leave, but I'm going to have a nap until she is. I'm like a child. It's time for you to go to bed. I'm like, yep, it is. Because it's like I love talking to people, but I also know the fact that, if I have too many social engagements, for me personally, like I'm an ambivert, like I'm introverted and extroverted, but too much where I'm out talking to people, it completely drains me and I can't reset and recover. So I'll talk for a bit, not to be rude. And when it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I feel like I've done my responsibilities, then I'll just go sit in the corner, man. Like I could live my life with like my wife and not talking to anyone ever in my life. But I understand for her needs that this is important. And that's why I do it for, until I need to go and lay down. But guys,
I can't wait to get to that
exactly. Guys, that is 2 different routines, both fitting in the things. I know your routine listing out here is different as well, but that doesn't mean you can't fit it in. It means you just need to look at the priorities in your life and prioritize wake up earlier, go to bed later, move faster, multitask things. I don't care how you do it, but you can only do it if you do it by design. Okay, you're never going to default your way into a great routine. Like if you do, let me know. But I've never met someone who has. And if you do, we'll study you. But guys, that is today's podcast. Don't forget to rate and review. Give us 5 stars, 3 stars. Give us a review. Comment somewhere and tell us what you want to hear more next week or the week after. Any questions, hit us up on Instagram, the free Facebook group, or on the different channels of social media. And other than that, guys, if you're stuck and you want to change your life, go to fit-dad.club and let's talk about where you are, where you want to be, and how we can close the gap so we can transform your life. That is it from me, Jace.
Leave some mean comments so I can record funny videos of myself reading them out. If you want to see me in Australian flag Speedos reading them out, then comment insults towards me. I won't take it. I will maybe take it slightly personally, but that's okay.
Just say he has got small calves or something, guys. You got this.
I've had them all my life. You can't hurt me. I already know. I've accepted that.
All right, guys. Until next week, guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you then. See you later.